And Alex, I want
I
to
feel
tee
like I'm
you up.
underqualified.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like I'm
no.
underqualified to be here. You guys are kind of like the heavies when it comes to Jimmy Fund qualifications. But yeah, so I'm grateful to be along for the ride with you guys.
But
And
you know what? Like, go
TC,
ahead.
thanks for throwing in the 2015 All Star. I always forget. You always forget that was actually done. And well, my neighbor from Needham yesterday texted me and Lakin in the she meant to text her kids, and she asked, "Can you send me your resume?" And I just put two two two-time World Series champion, slowest thrower in MLB history, and just forgot to leave.
Forgot the All Star.
Just forgot 2015 AL All Star. So she reminded me. I'm like, wow, I always forget about that. So thank you for that. Thank you for
See,
that.
that's what makes you the humble, lovable Brock star that you are. That's why you're so relatable to all of us. But Alex, I want to argue what you said about feeling, would you say, underqualified or whatever you said.
Imposter
These are the
syndrome.
talking points. These are the talking points I received from the good people at the Jimmy Fund. Okay, and about the Jimmy Fund begins with, the Jimmy Fund is comprised of community-based fundraising efforts. The very first words are exactly why you are qualified to be here today, Alex, because you are walking the Jimmy Fund walk on Sunday, Team 49, because you are you. Some people think it's old. You turned 49. Some people on this side of the screen think it's very young, but nonetheless, age is relative. Also, obviously, in honor of Tim Wakefield. So you've put together, that is exactly what the Jimmy Fund is all about, a community grassroots effort to raise a little money. Tell us about the inspiration for Team 49.
Yeah, well, we heard the stories. We all know about Tim Wakefield's legacy and what he meant to so many of us on a personal level, and also what he represented in terms of community engagement. The incredible amount of care that he poured into all of his work and volunteer efforts at the Jimmy Fund. And when I heard the story last fall at his memorial service at Fenway about how he was planning, even after being diagnosed last year, to take part in the Jimmy Fund walk last year, it immediately kind of struck a chord, and I realized that it was an opportunity. That one way that I could honor my friend and an inspiration was to take part in the Jimmy Fund walk this year with my family and to do a little bit of fundraising. I'm very proud to be able to call myself part of Team 49. It means a lot to think about Tim every time that that I discuss the walk with my family, or that we receive. We've received a number of donations. It's been very heartwarming to see the way that other people have joined us in honoring Tim, and so it definitely means a lot to be able to connect with everyone in the Jimmy Fund world.
Brock, like Tim Wakefield, you were a team captain when you were in uniform, and like Tim, you were a Roberto Clemente Award honoree. First of all, talk a little about Tim. We all knew what he did on the field, but and like Alex and I were able to sort of watch him become the guy he became. Right, like '95, he came as actually when I started, and he was coming back from Pittsburgh and trying to sort of reclaim his career, and he certainly did, a 200 game winner. But you arrived here and got to see him in that championship season in 2013 and then beyond, and he really was, a guy who embodied what the Red Sox want their players to be in a philanthropic sense, right? Who really embraced the community part of it. Tell us a little about what it was like to get to know Tim and to maybe learn some of what that community relationship is all about.
Yeah, for me, unfortunately, I never got to play with Tim. I would have loved to have shared a locker room with him. Just hearing from the guys that I did play with, who did get to play with Tim, and the high words that were spoken of him. Obviously, the amount of people that Tim, the amount of people's lives that Tim touched. Obviously, Alex is talking about it. We're talking about Tim. I mean, there isn't a person around the Red Sox organization that doesn't know Tim, love his family, and just being around the Red Sox for as long as I was able to be around, and have him around, with NESN, and then with his role with the organization and down in spring training, and getting to know him, over the years at golf tournaments and events. He was always present. He was always there. He was always talking to everybody, encouraging everybody. And, it was a huge loss for everybody that knew him, who loved him. Alex said he was thinking about him yesterday, with his fundraising and his walk. I was thinking about him yesterday because I was on the golf course and I had a 49 ball that I was whacking into the trees. Um, so Tim was just a good person, man. I posted something on my Instagram when he passed away. It's just, we're all better because we knew Tim, and, his legacy will live on forever. And, man, it's just, it's sad that he's gone, but man, he touched so many people's lives and made such a big impact while he was here. And I think as human beings, that's all we're trying to do, with the time that we do have.
I think that's so well said. His career ended really right as you got to Boston, as your career came to
Mm-hmm.
Boston. So kind of touched up against each other that way. But, he took it to another level, right? His community service, his work with the Jimmy Fund. You did too. I mean, there's always a Red Sox team captain. But certain guys take that role and it really resonates with them to the point where you ultimately have a duck boat full of Jimmy Fund clinic patients with you in a championship parade. Well, how did that happen? Well, you know what I mean? You were asked to be the captain. You were already going over there for visits. But when did you realize it's something that resonated with you and that you wanted to do more with than maybe the minimum contribution?
Yeah, I think, right whenever I got over, uh, in 13 was my first year, in spring training with the Red Sox, and uh, Lisa brings all the teenage kids down for a couple of days, and you just kind of see how important it is. At the time, David Ross was captain. I think Will Middlebrooks was captain as well, and I just kind of gravitated towards. I've always loved kids, and I've always kind of gravitated towards um, the younger generation for some reason. I don't know if it's because I'm a kid at heart or I'm a little bit immature or whatever it might be, but I've always enjoyed kids. Like, other than playing professional baseball, I've always only ever wanted to be a dad, so, I think for me, it was just, it hit me real early in my Red Sox career. And fortunately, I was asked to be captain. I think the next year with Pablo, we were co-captains, and then I was a captain there every year since. And it was an easy yes for me. And um, once I started to get more involved and start building relationships with people like Lisa at the clinic, and the doctors and nurses, and meeting families and building relationships with kids there, and it became more than just me being captain. Like, I started caring about the people, and building those relationships. And for me, it's, that's kind of what life is about, is loving on people, and in that, role, I was able to do that. And I think that's why I'm so excited about what we're doing now. TC is getting to continue to do that, continue to build those relationships, and continue to do whatever we can to help out however we can. So, it's just it's a special organization to be a part of. Obviously, I wish the Jimmy Fund didn't exist, because I wish kids didn't get cancer. I wish nobody got cancer. But for us to be able to do what we can do, and follow in the footsteps of people like Tim, is a huge honor.
We mentioned some of the accolades that you had as a baseball player, both in Boston and after, the All-Star appearance. Let's check them all off. Two-time world champion, All-Star, guy who hit for the cycle in the postseason, joining. Yeah, I think that you're probably the only person who ever played for both the Red Sox and the Pirates who ever threw a pitch slower than Tim Wakefield in a Major League Baseball game. But
Yeah.
the fact that you're 30.1 miles an hour, the fact that you do continue to have this relationship with the Jimmy Fund, how much do you kind of enjoy the fact that you have a legacy that endures in Boston, and that it's not just related to those on-field things that we're talking about, but you've been able to. We're not just walking through what you did as a member of the Red Sox, right? Like your kind of history as a member of the Red Sox persists even after your playing career, because of what you've been able to forge something lasting in this dynamic with the Jimmy Fund, and build it with and have your family join you in it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part, right? Lakin was a huge part of it with me while I was there. But now, getting Griff involved and Ripken, obviously Griff's getting to the age where he can kind of understand things. Ripken's still a little young, but we had Griff's baseball team over the other night, and some of the moms put together some bags that they're going to deliver to a local hospital here, and just kind of get the kids, to kind of understand that life's about, we're very blessed with some of the things that we have, and the health that we've been given, and God willing, we keep that health long into our 80s, 90s, or whatever it might be. But some people aren't blessed with that, and we can do things on our end to kind of help brighten their days. And I hope that we can brighten some kids' lives and some families' lives here locally in Nashville. But it's huge to have them be a part of this. And I've always said that baseball is what I did. It wasn't who I was or who I am. So people always ask, like, do you miss playing? And there's times when I miss playing, but I played baseball because I was blessed with the ability to do it at a high level. I loved playing. I worked hard, but for me, the relationships that I built with coaches, people in the front office, you guys, while I was there, like that, with teammates, like the kids at the Jimmy Fund, with Lisa, like those are the things that mean more to me than anything else. And baseball was just, that was my job, and that's kind of why I was there, and enabled me to build those relationships and meet the people that I got to meet, and do some of the things that I got to do. So I'm grateful for that. But for me, it's more than that. And it's like I said with Tim, it's trying to impact as many people as we can while we're here on earth, and in a positive way, and kind of be a light in dark times, and like I said, do whatever we can to help each other. And I think as humans, man, it's sometimes that's looked past, and I think we can all do a better job of loving on one another, and being there for each other.
When Alex was running through the resume, he touched on one thing I want to ask you, because I bring it up a lot. You hit for the cycle, the first player to do it in the playoffs, and you weren't in the lineup the next day. And I remember being on the postgame show that night, and we're talking, like, looking at tomorrow, that's a game Brock Holt probably wouldn't be in. But there's no way you sit a guy after the cycle. But not only did Alex Cora not have you in the lineup, but you kind of bought into it because you knew the plan. It was very transparent. You knew how it was going to work. And I use that example all the time as kind of the transparency of Alex Cora. The guy got Brock Holt to accept not being in the lineup the day after a cycle. It really speaks to who AC is. And maybe you could sort of, tell us a little more, shed a light on that relationship that players have with AC now that he's going to be the guy here for a while. What makes him the right guy for Boston?
Yeah, for me, I did that. I hit for the cycle, and before AC even talked to me, I knew I wasn't playing, because CC was pitching, like Ian Kinsler had been doing a good job. That's just how we did it. And I think that's kind of a testament to that team in 18 is we understood our roles. We were there to win. Like, it didn't matter who did what, I still joke with AC to this day, like, hey, I'm the only player to ever hit for the cycle in a postseason and then be benched the following day. And there's a funny story is Luis Severino started that game, and I was 0 for 19 off of Severino, and with, probably double-digit strikeouts, right? I just didn't hit him well. And AC, his thing would, like, if he didn't tell you at the field, he would send you a text message. So I got a text message the night before, said second base tomorrow. And I texted him back. I said, "Are you sure?" Because because it was a joke. It was a joke between me and him. Like, he knew I didn't hit Severino well, and so I said, "Are you sure?" And he just gave me like a thumbs up or something. So then, of course, I told Ian that next day, and then after I hit for the cycle, Ian gets the text, second base tomorrow. So he goes, "Are you sure?" to, to AC. And AC's like, "Yep, thumbs up," you know. So, and I think Ian ended up having a couple big hits that game, right? So it was just, you know, that's just how we did it. And AC got everybody to buy in. And I think the best thing about AC was, like, he was just a good communicator. He let you know, like I said, if for a guy, and he was kind of a utility guy himself, so he kind of understood. But in a guy in my position, he let you know. He's like, "Hey, Bogey is getting Thursday off at shortstop, and this is on like Monday. He's not playing. I don't care if we lost 3 in a row. Like, he's not playing. He's played a lot. He's going to get a blow. So you're playing shortstop on Thursday. Then I'm going to have you in right field on Saturday." And then if he didn't give you that big of a heads up, it was like, "Hey, like I said, before you left the park that night, it's like, hey, you're going to play second tomorrow," or on my way home, I'd get a text, second base tomorrow. So I think it was just easy, you know, easy to play for someone that cared as much as AC did. Obviously, he played the game for a long time. He's a baseball genius, um, and he let everybody just be themselves and go out and play hard and have fun. And but the communication from AC was, I think, was the best that I've, you know, experienced. Torey Lovella was great in the very small sample size that we got whenever he was interim there at the end of whatever year that was. Um, but AC is great, man. I couldn't be more happy for him, and I'm always rooting for him. So glad that he's going to be around for a few more years at least.
2015, that last place finish, but a strong finish. How that kind of, like, what the importance was of the end of the way you finished that season in creating, in kind of building you guys into contenders. That contention cycle starting in 2016.
Yeah, I think going back to AC's comments about Duran and kind of building the culture of, like, hey, you guys need to play. I think for us, you know, we had guys like Dustin Pedroia and David Ortiz who posted up every day. In 13, I mean, shoot, that whole team was veteran guys who grinded through stuff. Dustin, I mean, I was up and down. I got called up after opening day in 13 because Dustin slid into first and tore his thumb up at an opening day, and then he's like, "No, I'm not having surgery. I'm going to play through it." And he played 160 games and the entire postseason with a torn thumb. Um, so you said I was shuffling up and down. I shuffled up and down a lot in 2013, but it's guys like that. It's guys like that who kind of show you the way as a young player, and having guys like Dustin and David and some of those guys, Napoli, whenever Mookie Betts was coming up, whenever Xander Bogaerts was coming up, when Devers was coming up. It's important. It's important for guys to see how guys who have been there and done it do it, and how Dustin Pedroia goes about his business, and that's how you build a culture, and that's how you know, you have guys like Marcelo Mayer come up, and all those, you know, all the prospects that are coming up. It's like they see Jarren Duran playing 162 games and grinding and posting every day. It builds that team culture. And you know, in 15 we made a run, we made the playoffs, we lost in the first round. In 16, same thing, we got there, we lost in the first round. And then 18, or 16, 17, then in 18, you know, we do it because we had got the experience, we had been there, done that, and we had those guys before us kind of show us the way. So I think it's the culture is culture in the clubhouse, culture around the organization is far underweight in my opinion, but a very important piece to the puzzle that a lot of people don't pay attention to. Um, you gotta love the guy next to you, and you gotta play for each other, and you gotta like each other, and I mean, we spend so much time with each other in the clubhouse and on the roads, and you gotta want to be around each other, and like I said, the team in 18, it was nobody cared who got the hit, who scored the run, who made the pitch. It was we're all doing it together, and whoever does it, we're gonna have their back. So, um, I think it's a huge thing for young teams to have guys go out and play every day and be that leader that guys coming up can look at. And I think having guys like Dustin and Napoli and shoot pitchers whenever I was coming up, Lester and Lackey and Jake Peavy for a second, David Ross behind the plate. You have guys like that the Mookie Betts can watch and the Xander Bogarts can watch, and um, they come up and they're the young bucks, and then they grow to be the veterans, and now they're showing the new young guys how to do it. So I think it's a huge, huge part of the game that doesn't get talked about enough, and something that um, I think the young guys coming up in the Red Sox organization right now will benefit from by having some guys like Duran playing every day, like Trevor Story around, and guys that can kind of show them the ropes, and hopefully they're building something that's sustainable for a little while.
Within that kind of cultural discussion, it was very interesting to me that AC kind of flagged Jaron Duran as the guy. But within that answer, he also, I think, caught some of us off guard by saying, Rafi is the face of the franchise, but we just kind of let him be. That was interesting, right? Like how unusual is it for an exceptional player on a team to not have that, to be to be I guess, not just identified, to be identified as not the guy who is kind of the tone setter for that coming generation. Does that create cultural problems if your best player isn't fulfilling that role?
I don't think that the best player necessarily has to be the outspoken leader of a team. I think, you get a group of 26 guys together, it's going to kind of form naturally of who guys kind of gravitate towards. And, for us, it was Dustin Pedroia, and that's who you wanted it to be. Um, as long as Rafael Devers goes out and catches the ball and hits homers and doubles, like, I think that's more important for the Boston Red Sox than him, leading the charge in the clubhouse. You can have other guys do that part of it, but you got to have Rafael Devers be Rafael Devers and be a top 10 hitter in the big leagues. So I don't think it's a cultural disadvantage to have your best player not be the leader, because I feel like that role can be filled by anyone really. I don't know much about the group now, but it seems like guys kind of gravitate towards Rob Refsnyder. And I think Trevor Story, the times that I've talked to him and been around him, he seems like a guy. He does the off season program where he has the guys come and work out with him. And there are guys that can take over that role, that don't have to be your superstar player. I think it helps when your superstar player is that guy, but I don't think it's a detriment if he's not. I just think, for the Boston Red Sox, Rafael Devers just needs to go out and be Rafael Devers and worry about being a productive player on the field, and I think that role can be filled by someone else.
It's Manny, right? I mean, Manny was Manny. I mean, that's literally, you just let him be the best right-handed hitter in the game, and we'll take care of the leadership stuff in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Not to say Devers is Manny on or off the field, But we've well seen guys who are there to lead by their offense and to lead by their production. Listen, I want to get back because you're here because we're talking about the Jimmy Fun Walk. And again, it's the Jimmy Fun Marathon, the Boston Marathon Jimmy Fun Walk. I always get that in the wrong order. It takes place this Sunday, October 6th. You can sign up at the event. So you don't have to register in advance, but you can register in advance, hoping to have 8,500 walkers on hand and topped last year's record-breaking total of $9.4 million. This event, over 35 years, by the way, has raised $176 million for the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Again, the Jimmy Fund, the philanthropic arm of the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. It's hard to believe as we dive into this, Brock, that that's actually not everybody connects all of that. So just a reminder of what that is. But I hand it to you because how much of it are you walking, Alex, on Sunday? Are you doing the whole thing?
I wish the Spear boys are capped at 5K. This was
nothing wrong with that.
There had to be buy-in, but it's 5K that will mean a lot to us.
Yeah. What is it? The journey of 10,000 miles begins with a step, or whatever it is. So there you go. The journey of 26.2 begins with 5K. I'm only doing the 5K, but I get the excuse. Like, yeah, I have a lot of Jimmy Fun duties that day. I'd love to do more, but I've got to. But you actually ran this damn course, raising money. You and Lakin ran the marathon. And I know it is one of your favorite memories, that it was just a wonderful event for you, Brock. So
Beautiful
you
weather.
can share.
Yeah, beautiful weather.
Yeah. What was that like?
It was actually awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it. I think if I could change one thing, I would have. I liked the temperature because it wasn't hot, but I could have done without the downpour at about mile 13, coming through Wellesley. So I could have done without that. My socks were soaked, my shoes were soaked. I had blisters on my feet. But I thought it was awesome. I think I did it the right way. I know a lot of people, gave me a lot of crap because I basically shuffled my way from start to finish. But my goal wasn't to go into the Boston Marathon and win the thing. It was to raise money, and it was to have a good time with Lakin. And we had a lot of pit stops along the way. A lot of people along the course where we had some snack stations and some water stations. And I think, I was wearing my watch, and I think 1 mile took me 22 minutes because I had a couple pit stops along the way to say hello and catch my breath. But man, it was awesome. From start to finish, just people lined the streets and just were cheering for you. And it didn't seem like a fake, like they're just out there to yell. It was like they're legitimately there to get you to the finish line. And I think Marathon Mondays was always one of our favorite days. The days that we played the game and then stayed at home. There were multiple times where we had to get on the road, but and we could catch the tail end of some of the marathon. But to be able to do it was awesome. I'll never do it again. But it was a lot of fun. It was a fun day, and just cool to be a part of. Just see everybody come together, and it was a long way. It's a long run, but got some Shake Shack afterwards, double cheeseburger, Oreo milkshake, and
yeah.
But it was a great day, minus the torrential downpour at mile 13. But other than that, it was a special day. Glad to say I've done it. I checked it off the list and don't ever have to do it again. But always love Marathon Monday.
It's a hard thing. I've never done a full. I've done I've done a few half marathons, and the training, the work, the focus. You think it's so much about it in the days to go. I have utmost respect for anybody who does it in complete. Pam Ken, who's leaving the Red Sox after so many years. She ran it a couple of years ago, and when she got through it, it was fine. And I remember seeing her after. I was like, "So you gonna do it again?" She's like, "Absolutely not. I will never do that again." But I did it, and proud that you accomplished it. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, Yeah, thank you. And I don't think I would have run any other marathon besides the Boston Marathon, right?
Right.
I just don't think. I think with the roots that we have planted in Boston, I think that was the only one that you would have got me to run. Um, and I say run very lightly because it wasn't more of a shuffle. Um, but it was, man. How you have the number and everybody can track you and see how you're doing. Um, I mean, people were showing me tweets of like people just wearing me out. Like, yeah, I've been waiting at mile 14 for Brock for like 3 hours. Like, where is he? Like I remember, I remember a group of college kids. We ran. I think the Bruins. I think it was the Bruins that were in a playoff game that night, and me and
Yep.
Lakin were shuffling our way to. After you finish, you got to walk 7 blocks to get an Uber because everything's blocked off. So we're shuffling our way to get to an Uber, and these kids go, Rockstar, yeah, way to go, dude. It's like Chara dusted you, and I'm like, yeah, Chara dusted me. He ran like a 3-hour marathon, and he's like,
Right.
one of his strides is 7 of mine. So everybody was giving me a hard time, but I made it. Start to finish, I got an official time, and I placed. I got a tattoo on my leg. It's the unicorn, and I got the place that I got in the marathon. It's 26,269th place. So I'll always have that.
That's right. That's
26.2
awesome.
thousand.
There
See,
you
That's
go.
awesome.
Yep.
a
Yeah.
1,000 people for each mile. It's the greatest running philosophy for the marathon I ever heard is Doug Flutie told me he ran it for the first time and he didn't really train that much. He would just run 3 miles and then stop for a while, catch his breath, have some water, and he goes, "I know I can run 3 miles." So he would then just gear himself up to go run 3 miles. He just did it, whatever that is, right? 7 point whatever times. I just did a bunch of 3 mile runs over the course of the day. You need that
That's
mental
smart.
thing, right, to get through it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's good. I should have probably done that. I didn't really have a plan going into it. I had only I trained. I was training pretty
Did you
regularly
get hurt? Yeah,
up
you got
until
hurt or something, didn't you,
yeah,
during
my
training?
leg. I was getting some type of like pain in my leg, but it wore off as I started to run. But I got to mile like Saturdays were the long runs, and I ran 12 miles one Saturday, and I didn't properly fuel my body. Um, and so we took Griff to see the Harlem Globetrotters that night and went to a dinner. I couldn't eat anything. All I could do was take little baby sips of water. My head was hurting. Like I was dehydrated. My body was shutting down on me. Next day, I had to get an IV. I had to call somebody to come to the house to give me an IV. And I didn't start feeling better until that night. So it took me 2 days and I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like 12 miles is 12 miles is as far as I ran in training.
That
And
was
I
your
just kind of
longest
gave
training
up.
run.
That was
Wow.
my longest training one. So once I hit 12.1 in the marathon, that's the longest I had ever run. So I was like, gosh, if I feel this bad after 12, like I still have to do that another time, and then I have to run 2 more miles after that. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
going to be bad. And that's why I
The
kind
great
of
thing is
went
that's
into it
that's when the
thinking like,
pouring rain started too, right? Right at that point is pretty much when the
right,
pouring rain
right, right,
started.
right as my training max had come to an end, torrential downpours to really light the fire. So um but it was fun. Like I think that 12 miler that got me, I'm like, okay, that kind of changed my mindset and said, all right, I'm not gonna kill myself doing this thing. I'm gonna enjoy it. I want to be able to function when I'm done. So I think that's where the 20-minute miles came about after my body started shutting down on me after 12. I'm like, if I got to just make it through and be able to function when I'm done. So but like I said, I'm glad that we did it. We raised some good money, and despite the rain, it was a lot of fun to be a part of, and just see how many people come and how many people run. Like they put us in the first group, and we took off, and I mean, you could barely move on the road because it was just people. Like you were like trying not to, you know, knock into somebody. You see those bike races where one person crashes and then they all tumble. Like that's what would have happened if one person went down. But really cool experience, really cool day, and just like Pam, never going to do it again.
Well, the good news now is, as co-chairman of the Jimmy Fund, all you got to do is give a pep talk to the other runners. Don't tell them any of the stuff you just told us. Just tell them it's an amazing event. You're going to have a great time. You're going to crush it, and go raise some money.
See you at the finish line.
See you at the finish line. I got a friend who's a comedian. He said the pro tip is you go right to the finish line, grab one of those aluminum blankets, and walk around like you ran the thing, and everyone thinks you're a hero. Why bother with the run? Brock, great stuff. Looking forward to this. It's going to be fun. We're going to dig in and help this thing out and do what we can. But we appreciate the time as always. Thanks for coming on.
Can't wait to see you there.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having us. Thank you, Alex. Good to see y'all.
Alex, we'll see you Sunday on the 5K. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Team 49, Brock, Holt, and me. This edition of the 310 to Left podcast. Thanks for checking it out.